Once again, thank you for joining us for Calories In versus Calories Out, and your presenter today is Hodges Willoughby. Hodges, why don't you take it away for us?
Hi, Krista. Thanks so much for inviting me back. Before I start the presentation, I'd really like to get to know some of you a little bit better. So today we want to talk about calories in versus calories out, eating well and getting fit. But if you don't mind, let's take a poll question so we can find out where some of you are in your calories or in versus calories out journey.
You should have the poll showing on your screen. Go ahead and click there. I have been currently working to, and select the one that most specifically describes what you have been working on. Still waiting on a few responses. And it looks like almost everyone has weighed in. So we'll go ahead and share those results for you. Hodges?
Great. It's a little small for me here, so let me see. It looks like the majority of you are not looking to lose or to gain weight, but just want to maintain your weight. Nobody's looking to gain, but there's also a good amount of you who are looking to make a change here coming forward. So I'll focus some of my ideas there, but the people on the webinar today are really in all different places in their weight management strategy. The goal of today will be to help you to meet your goals wherever you are. If it's maintenance, weight loss, weight gain, or specifically just balancing your calories in versus your calories out. I want to start with eating well and how we can look at calories in and what that means. I want you to think about what guides your food choices. Why do we eat what we eat? Oftentimes people say money, the taste of food, your specific culture, how convenient foods are, or what type of access we have to foods in our neighborhood, cravings, and even marketing campaigns from companies. These are the reasons why we make the choices that we make. I would argue to say that for some people, and more popular, health is a reason why we make choices that we eat. Quickly, I'll go through the science of nutrition. When we think about our calories in, we're thinking about our macronutrients, which are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, as well as micronutrients like vitamins, minerals, and water. All of these things are important for a balanced nutrition. A lot of people in weight management have thought that carbohydrates are a negative food. In the thought of calories in versus calories out, carbohydrates tend to have about 4 calories per gram. And carbohydrates are actually the body's main source of energy. We get carbs from grains, from fruits and vegetables, from beans and legumes, from dairy products, and even from sugar. There are healthier options for healthier carbohydrates and less healthy carbohydrates that we can consume. Proteins also contain about 4 calories per gram. Proteins assist with building, maintaining, and repairing our cells, and we want to aim for about 60 grams of healthy protein per day. Protein comes from a variety of different sources. Healthier options include fish, poultry, beans, and even nuts. There's also plant proteins from which we can absorb. Keep in mind that all protein is not created equal. Recently, I read a news article that said there was a new fad word out in dieting. So many people choose their foods based on what it says on the front of the box, like low fat, no trans fat, and protein is the word that's used now. The guy checking out behind me in the grocery store recently, I looked over and 3 of his products had protein written on the front. Protein does come from a variety of sources. For example, a steak typically has about 38 grams of protein, but 44 grams of fat and 16 grams of saturated fat. Whereas salmon has very similar, about 34 grams of protein and only 18 grams of total fat with 4 grams of saturated fat. So you can get the same amount of protein without consuming additional unneeded fats. Let's talk about fat. Fat is something that our bodies need to survive. There's lots of different types of fats. We want to aim for no more than 20 grams a day of saturated plus trans fats. Keep in mind that you can figure out the difference between a mono-unsaturated, a poly-unsaturated, and saturated and trans just by turning over that boxed food and reading the ingredients listing. The functions of fat are to help transport and digest fat-soluble vitamins. It also provides cushioning for the body's vital organs. There's a fine line here. We do need some support and cushioning from our body's vital organs, but too much plays a major role in your risk for heart disease, diabetes, and a variety of other things. So fats, I like to say, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. The unsaturated fats are our good fats. You find these in things like avocado, olive and canola oils, nuts and seeds, and even fish. And I think you may be interested to know that unsaturated fats aren't the type of fats that contribute to the growing fat that we think of on our body. Saturated fats are the ones to avoid. That comes from things like red meat, poultry, cheese, especially yellow, high-fat cheeses, butter, whole milk, coconut, and even palm oils. Trans fat is where I'm going to say is the ugly. This is the #1 fat to avoid. These come from things like processed foods, cookies, and crackers. The thing about trans fats is they really increase the shelf life of a food, and as our modern society has grown to create the grocery store cycle that culture that we have, trans fats are in quite a few things. If you see a product that has 0 grams trans fat listed on the front, read into the marketing there. Foods are only required to announce 1 gram. So if a food has a ½ gram trans fat in it, it can legally say 0. Read the ingredients listing to learn more about whether or not your food truly does contain trans fat. Look for the word hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated. That is a trans fat. So the next area I want to talk about in calories in versus calories out is getting fit. So yes, what can we do to improve our health? Engage in physical activity. Let's take a minute to answer a question. What types of physical activity do you enjoy?
Just go ahead and weigh in on the poll as you see on your screen. And we have 100% of people who have weighed in, and we'll go ahead and share those results. Hodges?
Great. It looks like the majority of you really do enjoy activities like walking, jogging, running, or swimming. A few of you like gardening, weightlifting and CrossFit, or even dancing. I'm really excited to see that no one wrote that you just don't like physical activity. People who genuinely enjoy physical activity tend to look at it not as a chore, but rather as a gift that you've been given the opportunity, especially a week like this. I find it hard to lose motivation when the sun's still out, the weather is warm, and I can get outside. The great news is, too, is that more and more research shows that just engaging in a minimum of 30 minutes of physical activity, like walking, not even high impact, creates great reductions in health risks. The challenge is that the majority of Americans do not receive regular amounts of physical activity. And there's all kinds of reasons. I get it. We have long work days. We have kids that require multiple errands. We're tired. There's too much traffic. I find that one to be a problem for me all the time. I thought I would get to the gym in 20 minutes, and it took 40. Some people don't know where to start. In the wintertime, it's too dark outside, or working out is too expensive. I've got to watch my TV show. There's lots of reasons why we don't work out. It's important to look at those and use them not as barriers, but as a catapult. If this is the reason why, how can I use this as a challenge and work around that? The problem is adults in the U.S. aren't getting enough physical activity, and 25 of us aren't active at all. Oftentimes this tends to be older adults, older women, African American women, and low-income adults. When we think about physical activity, our human bodies are meant to move, and some research is even saying that a sedentary lifestyle and sitting 6 or more hours a day can be equal to the same risk of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. So how can we change that? Physical activity is really important. It not only helps us to control our weight, it helps us to strengthen bones and muscles. It reduces stress. It improves your sleep. It improves your ability to do activities. And quite frankly, it reduces your risk for the majority of the lifestyle-related diseases that we're dying from. 70% of the diseases in this country that we live with, spend our healthcare dollars to treat, and that we die from are diseases that could be preventable from lifestyle changes. And physical activity tends to be the magic button. So how much physical activity do you need? For those of you who have children, they need more than we do, about 60 minutes every day. Who knew that instead of buying them that Xbox or Nintendo, that just sitting them outside on a bike to play was a health engagement? Things like push-ups, jump rope should be included in this. That's a great argument for adding gym class and playtime back to the school day. However, adults who are 18 to 64 years old need about 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, things like walking, maybe water aerobics or mowing the lawn, or about 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity, running, swimming laps, playing tennis, plus 2 more days of muscle strengthening. Oftentimes people tend to be stronger in one or the other. If you want, and these are weight maintenance suggestions or health maintenance, if you want to lose weight, double those numbers. About 300 minutes of moderate physical activity or 150 minutes of vigorous physical activity. Again, just to maintain your health, aim for about 30 minutes a day. And this doesn't have to be done all at once. Oftentimes my coworker will come to me in the middle of the day and say, can you take the stairs break? We've timed it. It takes us 10 minutes to go up and down the stairwell. We work on the 13th floor, by the way. And we go up and down twice. It's 10 minutes out of our day, and now we only need 20 more minutes of physical activity just for the basic level. It's also a great stress break. So what counts as physical activity? Moderate activities include brisk walking, hiking, doing yard work, dancing or playing golf, but again, not with that cart, biking, and even some general weight training. Vigorous activity includes running about 5 miles per hour or more. Again, bicycling the same, faster, not slower. Aerobic activities, heavy yard work, vigorous weightlifting, and even competitive sports like basketball or soccer. So let's put those things together and discuss calories in versus calories out. What is a calorie?
Go ahead and weigh in on the poll. What is a calorie? And if you were quick on the spot, you've already seen the definition, and everyone should get this one correct.
Thanks, Krista. Sometimes I get going a little too fast.
That is quite all right. We're still waiting on a few more people to weigh in. Hodges?
Great. It looks like the majority of you chose a unit of energy, and for 75% of you, you were correct. It is, however, easy to think that calories are types of fats, carbohydrates, or the way we gain weight. The fact is, a calorie is a unit of energy. It's a measurement, like an inch or a gram. So how much you weigh oftentimes does depend on the number of calories you eat or how much energy, units of energy you have consumed versus how much physical activity you get or how many units of energy you have used. In general, 3,500 calories will equal 1 pound in the human adult's body. Again, think of a calorie as a way of measuring how much energy is either in food or in physical activity.
Hodges, I just want to take a moment and encourage everyone to write down the password for today's survey at the end for your Wellness Passport points. And the password is energy, all lowercase letters. Again, when you're taking the assessment at the end of the presentation today, the password is energy. Thank you, Hodges.
Thanks, Krista. That's a great way that we can still remember that a calorie is a unit of energy. So eat less and exercise more? That's the most ridiculous fad diet I've ever heard of. So how does my body use stored calories? When you consume less calories than your body needs, your body turns to your fat that's stored up to use it for energy. When we consume more calories than your body needs, it stores your energy. Your fat cells, which are also called triglycerides, provide the fuel for this energy. The triglycerides are broken down into different components, and these are absorbed into your liver, your kidney, and even your muscle. And these components produce the energy for your body. As a matter of fact, the heat generated through these activities is used to maintain the body temperature that we need to survive. So again, how many calories do you need? When I say about 3,500 calories equals a pound, and when I talk about 30 minutes a day of physical activity, it's also important to consider, are you currently living a sedentary lifestyle, a lifestyle that includes only light activity related to day-to-day life? Or are you engaging in an active lifestyle with physical activity? The amount of calories that you burn are directly related or used to how much you use your body. Our body is not like a car, which was a model that was talked about. Years ago, health researchers said our body is like a car. The more miles we put on it, the more we use it, the older it gets, and eventually it breaks down. We can take care of it by changing the oil and giving it fuel, but it gets older. That's not true. The true model is this: the more we use our body, the more effective it is at consuming and using calories without having to store for winter. So most Americans need about 1,800 to 22 calories a day based on their age, gender, and activity level. You'll see this range on the side, and I would encourage you to think about how many calories a day you need. And this can help you whether you are looking to maintain, to lose, or to gain weight. Think about this: how many are you going to consume, and how will you balance that as how many you use? You can figure out how many calories you're using by by consuming by food journaling and reading food guide labels. And many types of physical activity equipment will help you to estimate how many calories you are burning. If you go to www.myplate.gov, you can also find sample menus based on your caloric need. Now I want to go through a little bit of history from obesity trends in the United States. I'm going to flip through these slides pretty quickly because I think they tell a really important story. Our country started collecting data about the weight of the average American adult in 1985. As a matter of fact, in 1985, no one in the country, in the areas where we were collecting data, no area had more than 10 to 15% more, of their population have a BMI equal to or over 30. 15% of that, 1985. Let me show you what's happened over the past 20 years. You'll see now that more and more states have gone to 15 to 20% who are obese. In 97, we've got 20% obesity rates. 2001, we had our first state to hit more than 25% obesity rates, while Colorado's still hanging in there, and they've got no more than 10 to 14%. Here we are in 2010. Imagine what's happened just in the past 2 years. But in a little over 20 years, our country has gone from no state having an obesity epidemic over 10 to 15% to no state having an obesity epidemic less than 20%. And as a matter of fact, a good amount of the states in the South where we live, the adults have an obesity level of 30%, equal to or greater than. The reason I want to discuss calories in versus calories out with you today is that we are the only ones responsible, and we have to make the change to maintain or to better balance calories in versus calories out. The Center for Disease Control collects this data, and if you're interested in seeing these slides again, ask Krista and I can send her the website for the link. So I can tell you what's going on in our country and a little bit of education, but let's talk about some tools to stay on track. With regard to eating well, if we did nothing but changed our portion sizes, we could make an impact on the amount of calories that we are consuming. Use the new MyPlate, and as you see, I made the mistake earlier. It replaced the food guide pyramid. MyPlate takes a look at what portions on our plate need to come from what food groups. Plan your menu ahead for the week instead of just waiting to the last minute to eat. Use food labels. We'll talk about how to read them in just a second. Keep a journal. Start snacking throughout the day and prepare for healthier snacks. And just drink more water. When I talked about portion, this is one thing that has become part of our American culture. We really enjoy being served large portion sizes. It's a challenge because 20 years ago, the standard portion size was very different than it is today. We are a consumer-friendly society. Be aware of the differences in what our body needs versus what is being put on our plate. Try a few tips like cutting your meal in half and have the server bag it up so you're not tempted to eat it. Eat off a smaller plate. This is something I do often at home when I'm eating my dinner. Choose the sandwich plate rather than the dinner plate. If you are going to eat fast food, consider buying a Happy Meal. They're not going to ask if you have any children in the car, but that portion size is more adequate to what an adult's portion size should be. Reconsider getting seconds. Give your food a few minutes to settle. Split your entree with a friend. That's a great way to save money as well. Also know your portion sizes. For example, the serving size average serving size of one serving of meat should be about 4 ounces, or it's about the deck of a card. I don't think I've ever been to a restaurant when I was able to order an actual portion size of meat. It's always larger. The MyPlate tool helps you to build a healthier plate. It encourages you to make half of your plate filled with fruits and or vegetables. Try switching to skim or 1% milk or just water. And if you're going to do a tea or a soda, keep in mind that that's added calories that you're drinking rather than being able to eat. I know I'd rather eat my calories than drink them. Also, when you think about your whole grains, make at the very least half of the grains you consume be whole. If it says wheat grain or wheat pasta, it's not truly wheat unless you turn it over and the first word on the ingredients list is whole. For example, when I'm eating bread, I choose a bread that has no less than 4 grams of fiber per serving. And vary your protein sources. Look for other options like quinoa or spinach, beans, rather than always having chicken, pork, beef for your protein. Let's talk about how to read a food guide label. The first thing you want to do is look at the serving size. The serving size may be 1 cup, but keep in mind if you're pouring a bowl of cereal, you may put 2 or 3 cups in there. If that's the case, you'll have to double or triple the amount of fat, potassium, carbohydrates, etc. that you're consuming. Next, look at the calories per serving and the calories that come from fat. Use this in food journaling when you're thinking about how many you will consume today versus how many you will use and what you need to maintain balance, gain, or lose. The nutrients are listed next, and consider the percent of the daily value that is suggested that we consume. 5% or less of a nutrient is considered to be very low in that nutrient. 10 to 19% of a nutrient is considered to be a good source, but 20% of a nutrient is considered to be an excellent source of that nutrient. For example, on this area, sodium is listed at 470 milligrams, which is 20%. That's really high. You'll want to limit that. Limit things and make them less than 5%, total fat, cholesterol, and sodium. And get enough of these: fiber, vitamins, calcium, and iron. Step 5 is to look at your ingredient list. And remember, the ingredient that makes up the largest amount of food is the first on the ingredients list. I like to do a little formula when I'm looking at food in a box. The reason I call it food in a box is the majority of the food we eat shouldn't come from a box. It should come straight from the plant without any need to have been processed in the plant. But understanding this is our culture, and we often do, a quick way to compare, for instance, one cracker versus another cracker, or one cereal versus another, is to turn it over and add up the goods. We want to consume more amounts of clean protein and fiber. Then add up the bads, the fat and the sugar. If the amount of protein and fiber outweighs the amount of fat and sugar, you have a healthier option. If the amount of fat and sugar supersedes the amount of protein and fiber, sorry, it's a junk food. Keeping a food journal can help you to determine the area of your diet that you might be holding back. It can reflect on your eating habits. It's especially helpful at counting your calories. You can also compare weeks. Was I stressed out this week? And how did I consume food versus next week? Figure out what works for you and what doesn't work. And keeping a food journal can help you in the future plan food for the month. Snack smarter. Most of us enjoy snacking, but avoid sugary foods like candy bars and soda as a quick source of energy. Aim for a fruit and veggie plus a protein as your snack. For example, ants on a log. You've got celery, maybe a few raisins, but also protein from the peanut butter. Whole grain pita with hummus or carrots and hummus. Again, you've got your fruit and veggie that's going to help fill you up, give you some nutrients, but also some protein. Low-fat yogurt with granola and fruit. I do this for breakfast pretty often, except I substitute low-fat yogurt for a true low-fat, no sugar added Greek yogurt, which is very high in protein. Or something like a hard-boiled egg and a few carrot sticks in a bag. This is a great way to give your kids some breakfast on the go while they're in the car. Prepare your snacks in advance and keep a healthy snack with you at all times. That will help prevent you from going and relapsing with something you may regret later. Also, drink more water. Water makes up about 70% of our body weight. And just a 2% drop in our body's water supply can trigger dehydration, which equals short-term memory loss, trouble with basic math, and even difficulty focusing on smaller print. The next time you're feeling just a little lag at the office, get up. Fill your cup back up with water, take a couple gulps, and sit back down. Mild dehydration is one of the most common causes of daytime fatigue, and 75% of us suffer from mild chronic dehydration. Water is also a great way to help you feel full during a meal or in between meals, and it's the best replacements for drinks that are high in fat and sugar. Plan ahead. Put your workouts in your calendar, especially your work calendar, so you know what you have to do today. Have a bag of your workout clothes in your car. Go ahead and throw that in so that you don't have an extra stop in between work and home. Tell your family your plan for working out so that they can help enable you. You can work around it, or maybe they can go with you. And factor in a backup plan. If your plan was to go running today outside and a storm rolled in, where else can you get in that 30 minutes of physical activity? What is your backup plan for bad weather days or the day where your workout buddy bails on you? Speaking of a workout buddy, create an accountability partner. I like to call this a friend or a spouse, someone you can report to and even work out with. This is somebody who gives you support, but also social interaction. I'm more motivated to attend a workout class when I know I'm going to meet someone there and we'll do it together. It helps you to create some healthy competition, makes time go by faster, and it's somebody to high five at the end of your workout to celebrate that success. Each workout is a success. Another great accountability partner is your own children. Oftentimes, if you're trying to encourage your children to engage in physical activity as well, instead of just telling them what to do, ask them for help. Tell them that you really want to engage in physical activity, and it would be really helpful if they could help you by joining you on that afternoon walk. Set reminders for yourself. Add it as an appointment in your calendar rather than keeping in mind that you might stop at the gym on your way home. Place notes in strategic places and ask your family and friends to remind you. I've created a group of people in my life whom I send out a random text message to. When I know I want to work out but I'm not feeling that motivated, I send a message to 3 friends and say, who can meet me tonight? I almost always get at least 1 or even 2 responses back that say I'm there. And now I know I've been reminded and I've got some accountability to live up to. Fight the voice that's talking you out of exercise. Because the workout fairy is not going to come and do it for you. Set your goals and write them down. This forces you to clarify what it is that you want and why. Are you looking to maintain or gain weight? Or are you looking to try to train for a half marathon? These things help to motivate you and take action. This will help you to overcome your resistance, but also celebrate your process, progress, and not only your end goals. You're more likely to reach these goals if you set small goals and work to reach them, but feel good about every day. Keep records. We talked about a food journal. There's also different ways that you can do this together. Create an exercise log and a nutrition journal. If you use a smartphone, try one of these apps. Not only will this help you keep up with things, but it's great to look back and see your success. Like a Couch to 5K, Map My Fitness, or a Runkeeper. Track your time in 10-minute intervals. Print out this weekly calendar, which is just these squares. Draw 15 squares, or 30 if you're hoping to lose weight. Throughout the week, check off a box for each 10 minutes of physical activity you get. So if you went for a 20-minute walk, check off 2 boxes. Make sure you check off all 15 or 30 squares every week. It's an easy and simple way to look at things. Or you can always use my Miracle Cellulite cream. Step 1, apply the cream. Step 2, run 10 miles. Now it's time to get started. There's 1,440 minutes in every day. Schedule 30 of them for physical activity. I did want to mention, excuse me if I'll go back, there's a really great video available on YouTube. This could be a homework assignment if you have the internet at home. But look up 23.5 hours. It's a video by Dr. Mike Evans, and it will help you to better understand the science behind why just 30 minutes of light physical activity a day is better than any medication that we can take. I appreciate the time that you have taken with me today to enjoy lunch and to think about how you consume calories in and use calories out. Don't forget to take the following survey in order to receive your points on your Wellness Passport. And especially thanks to Krista for continuing to offer programs to the employees at Crowder Construction.
Thank you, Hodges. Thank you for your time and for the vast amount of information that you shared with us today. If anyone has any questions about anything that Hodges has spoken about, or if something she talked about led you to a different question, if you could just go ahead and either raise your hand or type that to me in the question box, we will open that up and allow her the opportunity to share that answer with you. As we're waiting for some questions to come in, just remember that if you do need Wellness Passport points, you need to click the link for the survey. I'm going to send that to you shortly in the chat box. You should be able to click on it from there. And you have also received the password that you will need for this session as well. So don't forget to take advantage of that and print the sheet that you need in order to attach it to your Wellness Passport. Do we have any questions at this time? Okay, well, I have sent out to everyone the link. You should see that in your chat area. You can click on the link from there. Otherwise, you can type out the link, the address in your web browser and get to it from there. We do have one question that came in. The question says, science of nutrition. What are micronutrients? Can you answer that for us, Hodges?
Yes, I'm going to go back to that slide. So we opened this up. Oh, excuse me. Did you ask what are micronutrients or macronutrients?
I'm sorry, micronutrients.
Okay. Micronutrients are things like vitamins, minerals, and water. So we're looking at vitamin D, calcium, minerals, even sodium, water. These are the type of things that are micronutrients that our body needs. These are the types of things that we look at getting from fruits and vegetables often. Does that answer your question without going deep into micronutrients?
Yes, that does answer the question. Does anyone have any other questions that Hodges can answer for us today before we end our webinar? Well, it looks like that's it for today. Hodges, I want to thank you again for being with us, for putting this presentation together, and most importantly for helping us to get a better understanding of how we can manage the calories that are coming in and out. I do have a question. Someone asked if they can receive a copy of the presentation. I would be happy to share that with you after, as long as you let me know that you'd like it. So you can type that in the question box or send me an email, and I'd be happy to send that over to you. Once again, thank you all for attending today, and Hodges, thank you so much for your time. This is the end of our webinar. Go out and do a better job of managing those calories out and in. I know I will after our webinar with Hodges today. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.